Oh, well, that works. All right. Let me share the link. Just gonna leave it like that for now. Oh, it's unlisted. Okay. Let's edit that real quick. Just finished the LightBody meditation. So for those of you that would like to partake in that, that will be available on my YouTube. And now let me share the new link. And here is the new link. All right, and I'll be checking in YouTube for comments. I might be able to just do like a little expansion during the first part. Let me just share it too. A couple more platforms. Well, not sharing it just yet to like a large audience. Keeping it kind of small. And who knows how things will transpire. For now, this is how we're rolling. Let me do just my profile. And page. And then I'm going to go back to YouTube, check for comments. Put on the chat. Okay, perfect. So we are going with the flow. Woke up, like a Beatles song. I don't even know the name of the song. Anyways, woke up early to take the trash out, and actually went to bed quite early last night too. So it just kind of, things just kind of flowed perfect. And was just in this new energy to do meditation. And now we're here with the actual class. So what I wanted to open up with and discuss with you guys today is our multidimensional light body as higher self, as a higher self, or within the higher self guidance and embodiment. And I've been going through just different levels and layers of this too. This kind of this merger, right? This merger going on. That's been quite fascinating. And that just continues to fascinate me. And I continue to open up and learn and just feel deeper into things. When we talk about the light body, for those that may or may not have seen my previous videos, when we talk about the light body, this is our physical. This is a physical body. In fact, you right now you already have a light body. Oh, by the way, if you are here, you're welcome to let me know. I forgot to send them the message. There you go. All right. So we'll see who's joining us today. There you go. So we're going to be opening up the topic of multidimensional, our light body, higher self, and as always, many, many, many topics. So hopefully you guys are able to hear me. This seems to be the best of all of my other microphones. In any case, I just wanted to remind you guys of the physicality of the light body, right? The physical light body is what we all have. So it's the physical body filled with light, the light portions of the physical body. The other body we have is a carbon-based body. And they both simultaneously exist. So you have a carbon-based body and you have a light body, right? When we enter into a body. Okay. Everyone has different levels of this, okay, depending on the experiences they have chosen to experience, that they have agreed to go through for their own soul expansion, right? And so as we grow, as we become a little more conscious, as we open up, our carbon-based body starts to dissolve. Okay. Right now, that's exactly what's happening. So our light body is activating, our light body is taking over and dissolving the carbon-based body. Okay. This is a very physical process. This is a very intense process, to say the least. Okay. Not everyone is going to go through the whole entire process, but I can guarantee you that every single person on this planet is going through the process, if that makes sense. So everyone has already been activated. Everyone at some level is awakening. Again, at some level, right? This isn't just spiritual awakening. This is opening up to your body. This is opening up to your emotions. This is opening up to all the changes that are happening right now, because your physical reality will start to change prior to your big spiritual awakening. Okay. So our light body is clearing the carbon-based body so that there isn't as much density, there isn't as much heaviness, so that there is more room created within your physical space so that you can start to live as a higher self. So we become higher selves within our physical body. Okay, our physical body starts to merge with our higher self. It's just that it needs to have the space in order to actually do that. So this is what's happening right now. We are actually quite deep into the process. And we will continue to go even deeper into that process. Okay. What else do I want to say? When we talk about multidimensional, your light body, because it's governed by your light, your physical body is actually able to, well, I'll say energetic body within your physical body is able to exist in multiple dimensions. Now, you actually will also have a physical, somewhat of a physical experience in different dimensions. But as you continue to dissolve the carbon-based body, the density, the separation, all of that, you are going to have a less physical experience of the old. You will still see it at some level. You will still perceive it, but it won't be this trauma or traumatic experience anymore. And that's one of the biggest things that starts to occur, that we start to break out of the karmic loops. We start to break out of karmic cycles. We start to break deeper inside, and we start to experience higher realms, higher dimensions, higher worlds, all of these different things. So when we talk, as we continue to expand into higher self, okay, higher self starts to merge. We deepen that connection. And yet, as it's been my experience, you will still have you will still need to make sure that you're connected to higher self, higher source, higher light, and ask, kind of like a double check, ask what its highest, ask what is my next step, ask, am I doing this from higher self, ego? How much am I doing it from higher self or ego? And there's so much to experience. There's so many things to go through. There's so many things to open up to, that I just I want you to stay open to it. I want you to know that within every experience, there will be a purpose. Even when you feel, man, I could have done that better. Man, I should have asked. Man, like, yeah, you will learn now or from that experience that um, it's best to ask, it's best to double check. However, that experience still serves a purpose. That experience still was at some level needed in order to open up, remember, go back to deeper levels within, all of these different things. What I've been recognizing within myself is that there is a fear of knowing, because somewhere inside, I'm already thinking that, my gosh, I might need to do something that I don't want to. I might need to do something that I'm very uncomfortable with. I might need to do something that scares the shit out of me. And while there will be many things that are uncomfortable, right, that you may not want to, as soon as I open up to, okay, just ask, don't get too ahead of yourself, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to do this. Like, stay within your body, stay present, and stay open. That automatically starts to release my fears. And as I continue to open up, feel, ask, when I get the guidance or when I get the yes or the no or whatever the case may be, there's this kind of new self, higher self that comes through that is able to do that thing, that is able to follow through, that is able to take those steps. It's not such a big, scary thing anymore. It's not this daunting thing anymore. It's like, oh, okay, I need to do this. All right. Part of the reason why this is quite of a long trek is because learning to trust, learning to jump into the unknown, learning to do things that make no linear logical sense, spending in ways that don't make any sense, seeing things beyond people's perception, beyond 3D structures, beyond what we thought was true, is quite a huge task for every single one of us. It's not something that we just do once and feel comfortable to always do it. It's this continual, okay, yeah, I felt good and it was comfortable enough to like take that step, but this is a little bit of a bigger jump. Need to feel a little bit more, need to open up a little bit more so that I can be ready, so that I can just flow with it, so my higher self can take over and just do it. And that you will have different experiences. So, excuse me, sometimes it's easier to go through the challenges by yourself. Sometimes it's easier when you have someone with you that is willing to like take those steps. It's going to be relative to what you're being asked. It's going to be relative for every single one of us. Sometimes when I am around people and I'm guided to do some certain things, the judgment, the what are they going to think, the what are they going to, whatever comes through. And there is this level of like insecurity, there's this judgment that comes through, all of these different things activate for me, right? And I just have to open up and feel things. You're always going to have a version of yourself being played out by someone, especially when you feel like, oh my God, what is this person going to think? This person's going to judge me. They're playing an aspect of you that is judging your higher self aspect. Ego will always be that, by the way. And so just really feeling into, okay, where am I carrying this judgment for myself? Where am I carrying this judgment? Where am I carrying this insecurity? Where do I feel like you know, like I am this or that, or whatever word comes through, whatever label comes through for you. It's important to feel that. It's important to know that this isn't separate. I am carrying that version of myself that I think someone else is going to play out. And the moment you start to open up to this, the moment you start to feel this, is the moment you start to decide that you no longer need another person in your reality to be that role, to have that role. When we talk about creating the new, talk about new earth, when we talk about 5D, when we talk about all of these different dimensions, okay, they function from completely different levels of consciousness. Okay. Which means it's not going to make any logical sense. And it's not going to make any logical sense for you either. Which is why there's a lot of confusion, which is why there's a lot of emotions, because you're going to be guided and you're going to feel that there's going to be a lot of things needed to do that are not going to be quite understood by others. They're not going to be the normal path that everyone takes. We did not come to follow the old path anymore, right? We did not come here to tag along and do everything that everyone does, because that's what has created and perpetuated separation. Okay, so right off the bat, we're like different. Right off the bat, we're not meant to fit in. And yes, there's going to be a lot of emotions to feel. Even when you say, oh, I've always been okay being different. I've always known that. I've always done things differently than others. You will always have that aspect that is going to be really, really important to connect to. That says, I don't like being different. I don't like being so out of the mold, right? There's going to be this aspect that doesn't understand. There's going to be this aspect that does not want to be that different. And so just allowing yourself to feel this, allowing yourself to open up. Breathe into your body and just sense, where am I sensing this energy? Where is this aspect inside of me that wishes I could be like everyone else? That wishes I could just be accepted for who I am and not needing to fit in order to feel accepted. Where inside of me am I still functioning from wanting to fit in? Okay, the transition between the carbon-based body and physical light body it's quite rigorous. It's very intense. Okay. When we do not see many of us or many people around us experiencing that, there's a level of why me, right? Why isn't other people going through this too? Why can't I just be like everyone else? Why can't I just, you know, go back to not knowing any of this? Like the Matrix, um, where there's a part in the first movie where it's like they say ignorance is bliss. That is an energy that we all will have to open up to, feel deeper levels. I've had to do that myself. And I've just had to open myself and just allow this aspect in me to just say that, to just be like, man, I wish. The really important part about this is to really sense it with your whole body, not just say it to say something, not just say it and stay there. You want to allow the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings to come through, come out. And so that you don't stay there, because you can get stuck saying that and just creating this loop pattern for yourself that keeps saying it over and over and over and over and over, not fully feeling it with your body. Okay. So just opening up to that, opening up to all of these different things that are going to be ego based, that are going to be fear based, that are going to be separation. And boy, is there a lot of it. It's a deep hole, by the way. And yet, we're all capable of feeling things deeper. We're all capable of opening up a little bit more. We're all capable of jumping. If not, we would not be here, right? So you're not alone on this. It's going to be a lot of things that we're going to be guided to do to break out of the old paradigms, to break out of the old thought forms, to break out of the old mentalities, to break out of the old programs. And there's so many, and they're tied to so many different things. And even right now, we still don't know all of them. They will be revealed the more you open up, the more you shift, the more your consciousness expands, right? There's going to be more and more and more things to see that you're going to realize, oh man, I was doing this from this lower aspect. I had no idea, had no clue. Okay. So now that I have that awareness, now that I have that consciousness, what will I need to do to fully break out and start doing things as higher self, right? And start doing things in a much higher level of consciousness. And again, some things are going to be way, way out there. Some things, if you feel different now, if you feel like you don't fit in now, the things that we do as higher selves, the things we are guided to be, to break out of the old, to anchor in the earth, are even more out there. The thing is that as we gain more consciousness, as we become more embodied within our light body, we don't hold any attachment or judgment or any of those emotions towards whatever people think of us, because we know that this is a very normal part of this process of just being so out there, right? Of just being so way ahead. We as higher self light bodies, we are light years ahead at some level, in some regards. We're decades ahead. We do things extremely different. And yet we know that we are paving the way for more people to awaken. We're paving the way for more people to be more conscious. We're paving the way, right, to we're paving the way so more people have access to new dimensions, new higher dimensions, right? And so to us, it's not going to be that odd. It only feels odd, or you think that other people are going to think it's odd because deep down you feel that's odd. That's strange. That's really different. That's like way out there, crazy fool. Uh, Something that a crazy fool would do. Okay. As you continue to open up, you realize it will seem crazy, but I know it's not. I know that this is going to be what's needed and what's necessary to break out of the old molds, to break out of the old dimensions, to break out of the old linear lack, suffering, trauma world. It's going to take every single one of us to do things completely different. Like we don't even really know exactly how different, but it's going to be way different. And the more you continue to feel things, the more you're going to start to see that people are going to be like, oh, that's not so crazy after all. Oh, okay. I've always wanted to do that, but never. Other people are actually wanting to do things. And sometimes they may need to see someone else do them first. And when you decide to do those things first, when you decide to take those first steps, you may be surprised at how many people actually follow you, because they've also always wanted to do stuff like that. Hi. Oh, that's interesting. It says, I can't view this, but I can comment. Last time I could view but not comment. It says I can only view on a TV. Okay, let's see. I want to say that you can. It's public. That's odd. Interesting. Well, hopefully that um maybe if you click, well, I actually no, I'm not sure. Um, if you click on the live icon at the top, like close the window and then open it back up, refresh the YouTube apps. Um, just throwing things out there, by the way, not too sure. However, um, I do want to say that now that I'm doing it this way through Zoom, um, you are able to see the live replay shortly right after. So the second class that I did um hasn't finished processing. At this point, I don't know if it ever will. So might have to redo that whole class over. I'm not too sure yet. But I do know that with Zoom, it's a little bit easier. It's a little bit better because you can see the replay right afterwards. So if for some reason you're not able to see this live, you will be able to watch the replay, and you can always comment below the video as well. So welcome, whoever's here. My count didn't change until recently, so welcome, whoever is here. If you are here, hopefully you are able to watch this. If not, again, the replay will be up shortly. Again, just going back to how different our experience becomes, how different we function as higher selves. It takes a lot of guts, and it takes a lot of balls, and it takes a lot of everything. It takes everything out of us because nobody really teaches us this, like in formal school, right? The normal path, education, um, and even within the spiritual community. I haven't yet fully seen this. Okay. I've been open to it because I worked with a very highly evolved teacher whom I learned so much, and it opened me up so much. And now kind of, being in this journey with just kind of higher self, it's been interesting to live a lot of the things that I heard, from this teacher, that now I can just kind of like, oh my God. It deepens your level of experience, it deepens your connection, and it does activate a lot of things. The emotional part of this is always going to be a huge part of this journey to just open up to. Okay. The difference between emotion, experiencing an emotion through carbon-based body, and feeling an emotion through a light body is actually a very different experience. Okay. Because within the carbon-based body, the emotional density, the trauma is so deeply anchored within the cells that it does take quite a bit to clear, to release, right? For the DNA to be able to rewrite so that you're no longer holding that density. So it's quite the journey. This is why we're going through a lot of intensity. This is why we're going through a lot of physical body changes, because we're clearing out cellular levels. Okay. And so as we continue to honor that part of the process, you will be activating more of your light body. Okay. The way you feel and experience an emotion through the light body is very different, because you are no longer having those emotions so deeply anchored within your physical body. By the way, this is live if you are watching. However, there is still emotions to experience within the light body. It's just that it's not as heavy. Once you hit that level of deep cellular clearing and DNA rewrites within your physical form, you're going to start to experience, you're going to start to feel emotions differently. Okay, this isn't to say that you're never going to cry. This isn't to say that you're never going to get angry. Like, this is just an energy. This is an energetic experience. You will always have to open up to all frequencies, the lower frequencies and the higher frequencies. Okay? As you continue to activate the light body and live through your light body, you experience lower dimensions and lower frequencies much, much differently. So you are no longer controlled by the lower frequencies. You're no longer controlled by ego aspects as you once did when you lived within higher levels of density, carbon-based body. Light body is no longer controlled by lower density, lower frequencies. But that doesn't mean that you don't get to experience. It doesn't mean that you don't get to sense them. It doesn't mean that they don't exist anymore. Okay? You will still experience, you will still sense them, but you will no longer fear them. You will no longer abide by them. You will no longer function from them. It becomes a completely different experience. You start to live in a completely different world, regardless of what other people think, regardless of what other people are experiencing. Every person experiences things within their own internal consciousness. And the more we continue to honor this process, right? Allow the light body to continually activate, continue to take over in a way. This is just your higher self taking over, which is a normal part of this process. The more we start to act, the more you honor this process, you automatically start to activate other people to their souls, to their light. You don't even have to say anything. This energy transmits. This energy breaks boundaries. This energy goes beyond words. You don't really have to say much unless you are guided by higher self. So, hi, welcome. Thanks for being here, for those that are here. Um, it's a lot to this topic. There's a lot to this process. Um, it's impossible to cover in just one session, and yet it is possible to share so that you can allow yourself to open up to this a little bit more. Like I mentioned before, and like I normally say, when we go back to simplicity, when we go back to the basics of conscious breathing, right? Conscious connecting. You start to not attach to creating or wanting things to be logical. Okay. This reality is not logical at all. The way you exist is not logical at all. The way we function, right? The way we function through light body consciousness, through this deeper sense of balance inside, confuses everyone. And nobody really will believe because it goes so beyond the 3D construct. So it is what it is, right? Going back to what I said, the more you continue to anchor your higher self, soul light within your physical body, the more you're going to realize, yeah, no one's really going to understand. No one's really going to do because if they're functioning from here. When they're open, which by the way, it means that takes you opening up first. You always have to open up first before you expect anybody else to open up. The more we maintain ourselves wide open, heart open, mind open, the more we will connect to people's open heart, open mind version, right? So that will change your entire reality and experience with them. And it's no longer going to matter whether people understand, whether people agree with you. It's not going to matter if people are in the same journey you are, if people believe the same things you do. When we talk about pure light, pure love, this goes beyond anything we believe in, because this is our pure essence. Everyone is that essence. We just forgot. And the more each one of us continues to live from that essence and function from that essence and just exude that, everyone has or will be able to feel that. And they will then start to remember that that's their essence too. And even for that moment, when you start to interact with them, even if it's just, a second or however many minutes, you will create an opportunity for other people to live within that remembered state. And that is a huge activation within itself. Okay. You may, come apart, or you may just leave that reality, or that person may leave your reality, and they may go back to sleep. They may not remember as much, or they may not be able to hold that remembered state, but that's okay because the activation has already occurred. So whether it takes weeks, months, or even years for that person to continue to activate through that interaction you had, doesn't matter. They may come back right away. They may not come back for years and may never come back, and they may need to go through another activation with someone else. right? It's all part of the process. It's all perfect. It's all kind of the normal. Every single person will have a different experience and will call different people at certain moments, at different times, at different parts of their process. And that's okay. Like that's pretty normal. We don't attach to anyone. We don't attach to anything. We do not hold anyone bound to us. We do not try to convince anyone because we know that each person has to choose this for themselves when they're ready, when they have chosen to be ready, or when higher self pushes them to be ready, which is happening also, and will continue to happen through all of these different experiences and events that will take place. We're no longer in the, oh yeah, let me just take my time. Let me just, sit back and no, this is about, no, now you have to do this, like really do this, really go deep into the mud, like really get your hands dirty, really start to dig, really start to open up. Because if we do not do this right now, it will be a little bit more challenging and a bit harder if we don't do this now. This isn't to say that there will be some people that have chosen that, and that's something to just honor. The more conscious you become, though, the more willingness you have to do it now before being forced to. The more consciousness you have, the more you realize, I can't put things off anymore. This is my priority. I am my priority. This journey is now my priority. Cannot put this off. I've been putting it off for far too long. And this is, look at where I am now. And yet, and although, or not although, I don't know what to say, your current reality was somewhat needed until you no longer need it and you're ready for a higher reality, a higher dimensional one. Again, everything is about becoming more aware, becoming more conscious of so many different things. Okay. There is a process in shifting from one reality to the next reality. Okay. Sometimes we're able to do it just like that. And yet we are being granted the opportunity to become more conscious and aware of this process. Okay. This isn't just like, I mean, it is and it isn't, by the way, and it will always be like that. There will be moments of like, oh my God, this is so magical. This was just so miraculous. It just happened out of nowhere, just like that. And yet there were so many things needed to occur before that actually happened. Okay. Whether you were conscious of it or not doesn't really matter. There will be that level of like, oh, excitement and awe in like so many things. And yet deep down inside, we know this isn't just luck. It just didn't happen just because. I've been working. I've been opening up. I've been doing the steps. I've been clearing and purging all of these different things that have allowed me to get to this place or this reality, right? And so you always have that, though, that the divine pure child, like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's a miracle. And then you'll have this other divine aspect, higher self aspect, where you're like, of course this happened. Like, I've been on this journey and I've been very diligent about opening up, about doing this, about becoming more conscious. That aspect knew without a doubt that, things would open up. You'll always have those, by the way. And so right now what's happening is we are becoming more conscious about this process. We are becoming more, we need to continually open up to becoming more aware of what purposes are being fulfilled within the reality that you're in right now. Okay. I know a lot of us are going through a lot of things that are like, get me out of here, or I want something better, I want something new. When is my next reality going to show up? It's being prepared for you, right? It's almost like you go to a restaurant, you ask for, you order something. You're not going to go back into the kitchen and control the process. You're not going to go back into the kitchen and cook your own food. So it's kind of like that. You're going to open yourself up to, this was my order. You always do that though. When you're in a restaurant, we always do that. We order food and we trust that it will arrive, right? It's kind of like that with this process. And sometimes we may not know exactly what we want, right? Sometimes we're like, well, I want this, but I also want this, but then I also want this. And at that point, you want to just continually breathe, open up to higher self, to your light body, so that your light body higher self starts to make the order for you. Because your higher self remembers, and your higher self actually knows more than your current conscious ego mind, right? Let your higher self light body order for you. Keep it super simple. Don't get caught up in like, well, I don't know. What if I ask this? What if I don't get it? What if I do get it? What if I don't like it? What if this? What if that? Right? All of these different things that come from here. The moment you start to relax, the moment you start to just focus on the breath, it is that simple, by the way. Focusing on your breath, focusing on your body, you allow your higher self light body to make those orders. Okay. This isn't to say that parts of you or aspects of you aren't going to know what to ask for. Okay. Deep, deep, deep down, like we want to be on the earth, we want to live on the earth. Now, this is inside of you. This isn't separate from you, and this is not out of your reach. This is already inside of us. Overall, we want peace, right? We want unity, like all of those basic things. If you need to keep it that basic, then do. Let your higher self light body deal with the specifics. And it's always been like that. You guys have seen phrases of like, the universe is creating a even bigger reality than the one you've asked for, right? Like, let your universe surprise you, because there's still quite a bit of lack inside of us that may not allow us to fully ask for more, right? We still feel like, I'm not quite there yet. I don't deserve this, right? I'm not worthy of this. So let yourself keep it super basic. And you may not even you may just be like, you know what, light body, higher self, you know what I need. I leave it to you. I'm just going to focus on, keeping it super simple, focusing on breath, focusing on my body, focusing on my journey. And that's it, right? we sometimes get caught up in like the details. Okay. Because we're functioning from here. We're functioning from ego linear mind. Ego linear mind wants details. I want this in this way from this person, or on this day. Let yourself open up and feel that. Where are you keeping yourself bound and restricted to just those parameters? And just kind of sense that in your body, any heaviness, any particular part of the body that you're being kind of guided to, and just breathe. And keep on breathing until your body continues to dissolve, right? Hi, Adrian, welcome, welcome. If you're here and you do have it, if you see the chat, you're welcome to say hi, you're welcome to comment. I know that some people may not, or someone mentioned that they're not seeing the chat, but they were seeing the video, and then vice versa. So, not too sure, but we're going with the flow here. Those that have stayed here, trust that you're able to at least hear me. Keeping it super, super simple, right? Letting go of old mind mentalities, old mind, old linear ego way of knowing or wanting this, or, asking for certain things. Your ego linear mind is not the one that creates, and is not the one that brings things forth, even though it has in the past. It's not going to be like that anymore. We will continue to bring higher light, higher levels of our light. And that within itself is a huge roller coaster ride, because it will continually take you out of your comfort zone, out of your normality, out of the way you've been doing things for so long. It's going to be an extremely emotional ride, and a physical ride too. And yet, know that it's normal, know that it's part of the process, and it allows you to break out of the old chains, the old limitations, the old cord and attachments, so that more light can come through, and so that you can start to experience things from this light. Your light higher self knows exactly what you need. Let your higher self make that order for you. Let your higher self light body do everything it needs to do to clear the way for that to come through. Let your higher self light body clear, cleanse, reprogram, recalibrate, purify, so that there isn't an attachment to those things, so that there isn't this resistance. So that you're not pushing away the very thing that you want and the very thing that you need. When we talk about, it's interesting, one of the other things that I've been also kind of going through is And by the way, a lot of the things that I say, or a lot of things that we all need to open up, require us to forget everything that we've ever learned, even within the awakened community. Okay. FYI. I've been feeling deeper into my soul light body needs. Okay. There's this whole attachment to this word though, the need, and even want. Need. There's this neediness, which has a very dense connotation attached to it. And so for that reason and for many other reasons, we have a deep resistance to it. Especially also because we've also been very needy and we've wanted things from linear ego, trauma, self. Okay. There is a huge shift that happens as we continue to evolve, as we continue to move through this process, where we start to open up to, it's not that wanting or needing things is a quote unquote bad thing and you shouldn't have. What we need is to realize that the aspect of ourselves that was wanting and needing those things was not the highest one. Okay. As we start to embody more of our light, as we start to embody more of our higher self, we actually have a lot of things we need and a lot of things that we want to experience from the highest way, from a higher dimensional reality. And that's not wrong. In fact, that is a very, very normal thing. We came here to experience the highest of the high, the purest of the pure, the most expansive, the most loving, the most supportive, because we know that that's possible. Okay. However, we're coming into a world that does not function from that consciousness, does not believe. In fact, it condemns it. And it's been doing this unconsciously for a really long time. So we already knew that we were going to be coming against all odds when coming here. The beauty is that we're not alone anymore. So all of us here, if you're watching here live or watching the replay, we're growing. We're starting to become more. And we're starting to connect more with one another, which supports immensely. We're starting to feel more things and go deeper into the physical clearing of the body, which will forever change everything. And so we're making huge strides. And I really want you to feel into this. No matter what you've been going through, no matter what you're experiencing, because the physical light body clearing, physical light body ascension is no joke. It's beyond what we thought we were going to go through. What was I saying? We come here against all odds. We come here knowing that we were going to have to go against the grain. We were going to have to be the ones that we are the ones that have to continually be, it's like, I don't want to, so I'm going to say this, but I have to explain a little bit more. We're going against the odds, the set normal 3D consciousness. However, this is a consciousness that's inside of us. And I'm using the word against lightly because we've made everything like a battlefield. This versus that, right? Dark versus light. And this perpetuates the light inside of us, which does not get us anywhere, but it continues to create the old consciousness. So allowing yourself to know that this is inside of you. This is an internal battle. This is an internal resistance force that is inside of us. It's not out there only. It's only out there because we refuse to see it and feel it, sense it inside of us. The more that we open up inside, the more that we sense all of these lower levels of frequencies and dimensional realities, the less they exist in physical form. This doesn't mean that it won't exist for other people, because each person is perceiving and creating their own world and reality based on what they hold inside. Okay, this is a very personal journey. The more that you open up to everything you have inside, the more you open up to all of the internal separation structures that have created them in your physical world, the more you will no longer need them and they will no longer exist in physical form. By the way, this also goes beyond what you think 3D looks like outside of you, because there is also huge misperception of that too. Okay. This is a frequency. This is a consciousness. It doesn't matter what you think it is or what you think it looks like or who you think functions from it, like, or who someone looks. It goes beyond physical eyes perception. This is a frequency. This is a consciousness. It has been embedded in a lot of things, at some level, everything. Which is part of the reason why it's a process. This is in everything. This has been in everything inside of us. It's a journey. It's a continual journey. We continue to feel things. We continue to sense all of those layers and layers of separation. Excuse me. However, the deeper you go, the less they will exist within your physical world. Right? The more you allow your light body to open up, the more you allow your light body higher self to take over, to live here, the more you allow it to live as you, the more conscious you become of everything that is still tied to that lower level of consciousness. And the more conscious you become, like the more you allow your higher self, higher light to do everything it needs to do in order to bring everything back to the highest. Right? Adrian, so question, And welcome everyone that's here. Welcome everyone that just popped in and everyone that has been here for a while. If you do see the chat box, the live chat, you're welcome to say hi. Let me know you're here. Share from your highest. So it's interesting. I'm going to say this. When you say going against the grain is draining, which is part of the reason why I went into the word against. Okay. Going against the grain is still a fight. It is. That's why it's very draining. Okay. And this is an energy inside of us. As we continue to deepen into this process, relax deeper, open up, go through layers and layers of density and the physical activation, physical discomfort, you name it. Like there's quite a bit here. The more your muscles, your cells are no longer going to have any energy left to fight. And you will no longer go against anything or anyone. But the ego resists this so much. The ego wants to keep on fighting. The ego doesn't want to give up the fight. The ego wants to keep on proving itself that it's worthy by winning the fight. When in reality, it will never win the fight. So it will keep on fighting and battling forever. Well, not forever. Until it's broken. Until you get to a level of like, that's it, I cannot fight anymore because I have nothing left. And sometimes we go through that. We all have to go through that at some level because the ego, we have created the ego programming to be extremely resistant and quite resilient too. This is why it's quite the long journey. Because there's so much ego fight inside of us. So feel that. Let's all take a nice conscious breath and just feel. Where am I holding on to that energy inside? Doesn't matter where you feel it. Just breathe. There is going to be the energy of is wanting to prove something, wanting to, it's like a prize, wanting to win something. It's this ego need, ego want. And there's other things. Having a local friend like you would help so much. How do you sustain your efforts? Well, that's a really great question. By continuing to break deeper and deeper on all levels, emotionally, mentally, physically, and energetically. There's a lot of and we talked about this. The frustration, the confusion, the anger, the fight, the resistance, Abandonment is also a huge one too. Feeling like we're the only ones. Feeling like, oh my God, nobody's doing anything. Which is also part of the process because we do have to be the first one sometimes to really do some of these things. We have to be the ones that take the step. We have to be the ones that have that boldness of doing everything that or doing things that nobody else does, nobody understands. There's a lot of that. However, this has to come from a level of space, a level of deep connection inside. So this isn't to say like, I'm going to just do it right here, right now. Because you do not want to do things mostly from ego linear mind separation. You want to continually open yourself up to this process, which automatically dissolves that at deeper and deeper levels and layers. So that higher self can come through, light body can activate more, and you can do things through your light body, because that will make it, whatever it is that you are guided to do, much more powerful. It will transcend time and space. It will create like much lasting results. And it may take time for you to get there. Like it for there's a couple of things that I'm like, oh, it's taken me years to get here. And yet there's a level inside of me that knew and that felt that I couldn't do those things just yet. Like I needed to wait. I needed to get to a certain point, strengthen my confidence, strengthen my connection, strengthen my inner self-trust in order for me to take those steps without wavering, right? Without being like, oh my God, I'm going to just go back because I took those steps too soon. And yet it's all relative. The level of break, the level of, let me just say this, never ending, this never ends. However, one of the things that I've been realizing lately is that even after we awaken, okay, this took me, I'm still in this process. But I've been realizing that the way we've been doing this process for a lot of us, the way we do ascension, the way we do this, there's still layers of ego doing it. Separate inner child, traumatized child, separation, all of these different aspects are ego. And if we want to get anywhere, we have to be open to this. And we really have to feel into this. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. It doesn't matter how invested or how much money or how whatever you want to say. Because if you've been doing it for mostly ego, linear mind, consciousness, and haven't even been that conscious of it, then it's slower. Not to say that you won't get there, but it's a little bit slower process. However, I went through it too. Okay. There's a lot of things that opened me up, that I learned that there were there was a purpose to that. Okay, so I'm not going to condemn that whole thing. I'm going to continually open up to it and feel deeper inside of me so that I can become more conscious of what I do within this process, where I do it, how I do it, what aspect I do it from. When we talk about breaking, which is what has supported me in this journey, continuing to break, continuing to feel on a whole new level. It's a little bit challenging. I'm going to use that word, challenging, for me to use certain words or to say certain words, because I know that there's so much deeper that goes within those words. When I say, oh, feel, sense, even breathe. You need to know who's doing this for the most part. It's always going to be higher self, ego. Like, you're always going to have both aspects inside of you, which means that at some level, you're always going to have both aspects doing things. But you have to know a little bit of more. Okay. How much of my ego is doing this? How much of my ego, linear mind, linear head is doing this process? How much of my ego, linear mind is on the, is mostly doing this journey, this path, or whatever the case, whatever it is that you do, like, it doesn't really matter. Okay, and just becoming a little more conscious. And then opening up to also asking how much of my higher self is actually involved. Is it, by the way, it might not add to 100. It might be 40-30. Well, then what's the other percentage? I'm playing with you, and I'm playing with you because sometimes it's not going to add up to 100, because this is not linear and it's not logical. But you want to kind of feel automatically, if that comes through, 40% of your ego is doing this and 30% of your higher self, and automatically you don't need to know much more unless you do, and that's going to be fine too. You're already like, okay, higher self, not, your ego aspect is more in control than your higher self. Automatically, that's like, okay, we need to shift this. We need to change. We need to become more open to this. Part of why there is a lot of challenge to this, part of why it's so intense also, is like intense from this resistance, though. Like, you're resisting the intensity, is because your ego linear mind is, you're living, you're experiencing this from ego linear mind. That will always be like 100 and 1,000 times more challenging and more difficult. So really, really opening out to this and feeling this and being like, whoa, I'm making this. Like, I am allowing this experience to be harder than it should be. Yeah, there's still a lot inside me. Okay, still fighting, still battling, still trying to right or wrong, still trying to find the right answer, still trying to prove something, whatever the case may be. List is endless. Becoming more aware and going deeper and deeper, like find 100 reasons and 100 aspects within you that are still inside, active, trying, right? And then on the other side, you want to open up to higher self, even though it's a little bit lower of a percentage, you want to continually connect to it. And it's as simply as closing your eyes and breathing consciously. In fact, it's that simple. Allowing yourself to open up, breathe more light through your body, allowing your body to receive more light. Stay here for a few seconds, for a minute. You can shift the scales. Now it's going to be up to you how long you choose to be here. Okay. It's okay if you're like, oh, I did it, but I can only sustain this for so long, right? Going back to how do you sustain this? You may only be able to sustain it for a little bit. Doesn't matter how long. Okay. What's key is allowing yourself to go a little bit more, right? Stay there a little bit longer and a little bit longer, because you will be opening yourself up to staying within a space that is not controlled by your not controlled by ego, lower self, more higher self. You will stay within a space where you completely give up the fight and give up all your efforts of trying to stay in this ego. You will stay within a space that all that matters is that peace and that connection. Like nothing matters outside of that. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay. Now, there's obviously a lot more to that. Okay. And yet, the anchoring of this is absolutely paramount. You want to continually be here, breathe this, anchor this, so that the next level of purge, the next emotional roller coaster, the next physical body purging activation, you can maintain a level of connectivity to that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're sensing, no matter how incredibly intense it might be, right? There is, while there's, obviously a lot of separation, a lot of ego, there will always be a level of separation to connect to in every way. It doesn't become as daunting, right? It's no longer a battle of the egos or a battle between dark and light. It's just a frequency, right? It's just an energy. As energy, everything will have a purpose. And so the more that you open up to the energy of everything, the more you open up to the purposes, the more you're going to see everything beyond what you think, beyond what you linearly perceive. And the more things will be able to shift. Right? Keep it a little bit simple. So I hope that supports a little bit. feeling into, feeling, sensing, opening up, breathing into this really key aspect about really knowing. Because we get a little bit caught up with, you know, being awake, like as if we know more, as if we're better, as if, yeah, again, like we're right, they're wrong. There's a lot of that, by the way, inside of us, unconsciously, very subconsciously. And just open up to connect to where you are in that energy. When we're so interesting. Used to hear this from my teacher. When we're in that ego separation space, we're actually so disconnected that we don't even know that we are. Which is like, what? And again, kind of for me, one of the things that I say that I have to keep reminding myself of, like everything that I say, I have to be very open to, like, okay, I have to remind myself this too, that everything at some level will have both aspects of me, higher self, ego. And so the more that I open myself up to both aspects, how much of my ego is coming through, how much of the energy that I'm doing, or the energy, or what, how much of what I'm saying, doing, whatever the case may be, is coming from this aspect, and how much is coming from this higher self or lower self and higher self, and how much am I allowing it? Okay, the biggest thing is resistance. If you realize, oh, this is coming from lower self, and you resist it, you're like, oh, no, I shouldn't be thinking that. Oh, no, I shouldn't be saying that. Oh, no, I shouldn't be feeling that emotion, or doing this. You are adding more weight to the ego energy. It's not supporting you. When you allow yourself to open up to this energy, let it flow. Let it just, let thoughts flow, let your emotions, let the words, let everything flow. You're no longer going to hold on to those energies by resisting them. Resisting them creates this attachment. Resisting them creates this heaviness, creates an even bigger heaviness. They're already heavy. You adding resistance is like 1,000 times heavier. Can you open yourself up so that you can connect to this energy, so that you can become aware of this energy, so that you can just let this energy flow, so you can just let this energy just move through you, right? There is no fight anymore when you just flow, when you're just breathing. You're not fighting. I mean, you may be. In fact, we are when we're unconsciously breathing, which is why I redirect you back to the breath. Remind yourself to consciously breathe. Breathe in every part of your body. So that more light can come through. as more light comes through, more is being done, right? More clarity, more of the cleansing, more of the purging, more of the recalibration, more of all of these things are happening. And so it will support you in doing things more from your light, but also becoming aware when more ego self, lower self is present. And that's one of the biggest things that I want to remind you of. Knowing that ego, higher self, lower self, higher self is always going to be present at some level. Okay. Can I open myself? Can we open ourselves up to this energy? Can we open ourselves up to connecting, to creating the space for more energy to flow through? When you're in your ego linear mind, you stop the flow. You block everything. You close all your doors. You chain yourself up. You put restrictions. When you breathe, you start to connect to this flow, this very natural, normal, organic flow that is necessary, that is needed. That's what we're talking about. It's needed. Your light body needs to be in this flow. Your higher self, soul light needs to be in this fluidity where things move, where things float, where things shift and change. It's what we need. However, the ego linear mind completely abhors all that, closes itself completely from that because it believes that it will kill it. Now, it will dissolve it, but the ego mind, works within duality. So it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. So I cannot let this energy, cannot let myself be energy. I have to close myself up, right? Lock myself, make things really, really, really hard, really, really challenging. Because so much energy. Um, because I cannot risk dying, cannot risk not. So funny. I cannot risk being enough because it feels like it can never be good enough. So, just opening up, just breathing, opening up to light body, higher self, soulmates. I feel like that's like a whole other topic within itself. So I might dive into it in the next one. But just opening up to this is what this is what your light body needs. This is what light body is. It's energy, it's light, it's flow, it's change. The ego will always go against this. The ego will always go against its essence, not knowing that it's its essence as light, not knowing anything because it forgets everything, right? This is just how it is. A lot of the things we just like, oh, this is just how it is. Am I going to continually battle and try to make sense of something that will never make linear logical sense? Or can I just let everything go, right? And just continue to breathe, continue to make things simple, and just know, or just like at some level, you're going to start to remember things from a higher level of consciousness that will make like they're going to make more sense within the higher states of consciousness. You do not want to make sense of things from linear mind, linear head, because that level of consciousness limits you. That level of consciousness binds you. Okay. Higher states of consciousness liberate you. So when you start accessing more information from higher states, it's going to be information that liberates you. It's going to be information that expands you, right? It's going to be information that supports you. Wouldn't we rather wait for that information to come through than to just keep fighting and trying to fit a round hole or a square? What is it? Round peg in a square hole? Whatever it is. It's never going to fit. Like which brings me to, where are you still trying to fit in? Where are we still trying to fit in? Right? Where are we still trying to lower ourselves? Where are we trying to fit? Oh, interesting. What's coming through is, where are we still trying to fit into this body without letting go of the old? Because it's not possible. Like, within the realm of everything's possible, you can't, technically speaking, within the physicality, it's like your higher self cannot come through if you still have a lot of density, heaviness, separation inside of you. Okay. The ego linear mind wants to be like, oh yeah, anything's possible. And well, it is, if this is coming from ego linear mind that's saying everything's possible, I can bring higher self and be carbon based and still be in 3D structures, and there's a mismatch there. There's incoherence there. Okay. Higher self will say, yes, everything is possible, but technically speaking, it's not possible if you're still functioning from linear mind and you're still in your carbon-based body, because carbon-based body stops the flow. If you stop the flow, then you create limits. If you create limits, then you can't. It's not possible. When we say all things are possible, is you want to be open. You want energy to flow. That's what creates possibilities. The flow of energy, the flow of your light, the letting go of the resistance, letting go of the fight, letting go of the lower self aspect that no longer needs to drive the car. If that's making a little bit more sense. So, don't have a lot of juice here, phone wise. So, if there's anything else that you guys would like to share, comment, be reminded of. Be reminded, so many things to remember, so many things to see, so many things to become aware of, you know. let more information come through from higher self, LightBody. Let more guidance come through. Let yourself be a little bit more uncomfortable. Let yourself be a little more comfortable in the uncomfortability of things. And this is, it's interesting because I came upon this realization, years ago, and I started to play with this. So play with this in very simple ways. Okay. If there's something, I used to play with this. I used to play with the weather. I used to play with this energy of becoming more comfortable with weather, more comfortable in the uncomfortability with weather. So I was in Minnesota, and we were going through like the first snow, and I went outside, and I'm like, freezing because I didn't have a lot of layers. And in that moment, I'm like, you know what? I'm uncomfortable. And I realized that my ego, the ego always want to not be in physical discomfort. So it will always try to do something, right? It will always try to numb the pain. It will always try to fix whatever, in order to not feel. So I was sitting outside, and I'm like, oh, it's cold. And yet something inside of me said, stay here. Okay, you're not going to freeze to death. Like, don't get too dramatic here. You can stay here a little bit longer and just feel. Like, feel the uncomfortability. Feel. Let yourself shake. Oh my God, that's a whole other topic that I do want to open up to. There's so much with a shake. There's so much to shake. There's so much to move. There's a lot of energy right now that's causing this. So whatever it is that you guys are going through, there's a lot of things being activated right now that will cause a lot of this. A lot of shake. That is super supportive. It's really important to honor. Breathe through it. Breathe whenever you feel like you need to shake. Breathe when the body starts involuntarily shaking too. So a lot of things being activated. In any case, I was sitting there. So I just saw your question. Yes, this will be up. The replay will be up for anybody that missed the beginning. By the way, nobody was here in the beginning, so yes, no worries at all. So I was sitting there, and I'm like, oh my God, it's cold. But I knew that it was important for me to just honor what I was feeling and honoring what I was experiencing without needing to control, without needing to stop what I was feeling. And this is a huge thing for every single one of us, because within that uncomfortability of feeling too much, within that uncomfortability of the body going through so much, we automatically, there's a switch that turns on, there's ego, there's all of these things that turn on that automatically want to control the situation. We want to control so that we don't feel, that we don't sense. And yet this perpetuates exactly what we came here to break out of. So as you continue to allow yourself to breathe through every situation, okay? And again, play with it. If you're cold, if you're too cold or too hot or too this or too that, allow yourself to become more present with that feeling and that sensation. Allow yourself to not want to resort to being comfortable, because there's going to be many, many, many things about this process that are not going to be comfortable at all. And we need to be comfortable in that. We need to know, okay, I'm going through this. It's not comfortable, but I'm okay. Man, this hurts. This is painful. This is way out of the way out there. Have no idea what's going on, but I'm okay. Right? So I don't know how long I was out there, but I felt it was very important for me to honor that. And I will, again, invite you to play with things like that. Do something that you wouldn't normally do, or do something that you know you're uncomfortable. I do this too with like uh with taking, I do this, or this supports me when I take cold showers, or not warm showers, which, by the way, that's like a huge that does support your nervous system at some level. Okay. However, with everything that I say and with everything that I share, please check with your higher self light body first, because everyone's different and everything is relative. So always, 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 always check inside. Shaking helps break up stagnant energy. Yes. It helps so much with so many different things. And there is an enormous amount of shaking that we need to do too, as I've started to realize this. So much shaking, so much just movement. Obviously, when you're going through like exhaustion and just the sleepy phases, it may not come through as much, but then you will have moments where it's like so much energy. And if your body moves you into shaking, if your body starts to shake, honor that. Honor your body, honor what it's trying to do, honor all of these different things. And breathe. Breathe, 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 breathe. Yeah, so this will be up again. Now that I'm doing it through Zoom, you probably won't have to wait that long. So it'll be up for further replay. I probably will do maybe one more. Depends on how I'm feeling. I do have something coming up this week that I have to honor. If I do have the energy, I will. If I don't, then I will honor it. So we'll just see. Every month is different for me. So I never really know. Just have to go with the flow. But I do intend to excuse me, come here, support, share and assist. In different ways, highest of ways. And so for those that are here, that are still here, or those that just popped in, thank you for being here. I like jumping jacks. I haven't done a lot. I did do a couple when I was not too long ago, playing with my nieces. Anything that you feel is needed, anything that you feel your body needs is going to always be huge and important. Movement, jumping, shaking, even pacing, like allow yourself to let go of all labels. Allow yourself to let go of conditions. Allow yourself to let go of what you think is happening if you do this, or what you think might happen if you allow this. All rules are different. Like we break all rules, we break all paradigms, we break all belief systems, by the way. We are meant to do that, right? We just forget. And again, it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to break something that has been a part of us for so long. That's part of our identity. That's part of how it's part of how we survived. It's part of how we received love from our parents. It's part of how we became accepted in society. Okay. So it's a process. And this is why I'm inviting you again to play with something small, basic, that you're uncomfortable with within your body. Again, weather is actually pretty, just kind of a pretty simple one, I feel, to play with, so that you can open up those comfortable frequencies inside of you as you are experiencing uncomfortability. Because it's going to be easier to break out of those patterns. It's going to be a little bit easier to break the mold. It's going to be easier to break the rules. It's going to be easier to break out of your old patterns. It's going to be easier to break out of the entire system that we have latched onto, attached to, and allowed for so long without even knowing it, right? So, thank you, Adrian. Thank you. I don't know who you are. I may do the riff. So glad it's supported. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you all. Sending you so much love. What's tomorrow? So tomorrow I'll probably be here again around this time. So check back tomorrow. If not, then I will probably say something. I do mostly communicate on Facebook, Patreon. Well, that's what I could do. If you would like to know, there's my Patreon link. Facebook, I don't really know my Facebook, but this is my handle. And you can basically find me everywhere. I'm just not active everywhere anymore right now. So there it is. So for those that would like to, or you may already be following. It's just at YouTube, because you can create your own handle. You can create anything. I mean, you can, you don't have to put your name. Excuse me. I may or may not have already connected with you. But in any case, thanks for being here. Thank you all. Sending you much love from the deepest part of me. And I'll see you guys when I see you. Have an amazing rest of your day.